start now. Hold on. All right, guys. I'm here with Jay Vela from Spokane. I'm gonna introduce him, but let him talk about himself a little bit right there.
All right. How you doing, Daji?
Good. How are you doing?
Not bad, man. All right. Yeah, my name is Jay Vela. I am the director of coaching from FC Spokane, which is on the east side of the state from you guys, about 5 hours apart, roughly. So we have a little bit different cultures over here, which is a good thing. I currently coach the B01 boys for our club, and I coach the G08 girls and the G06 girls for my club. My B01 boys won WMPL 1 this year for the U19 division against a very, very good CWSA team.
Yeah, tough
and
club
then
for sure.
oh, they were very good. Two really good games. And then my G08 girls played in WMPL 2, and we were undefeated heading into the spring season.
Nice
And
job,
obviously this COVID stuff kind of put a damper on that. And then my G06s are in WMPL 2 as well, more middle of the pack. Need a little bit of work, but we were in the process of fixing some things and trying to get better. So
yeah, well, congrats on all the success. I know you've been very successful, and I always appreciate talking to you about soccer, and I love playing with you too as well, when we get a chance in those licensing classes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I was going to give you my opinion on it. So if you wanted to share that with your players, my name is Dahan Kesim. They know me as Daji. I coach at Gala FC. I'm the director and the founder of Gala FC. I also coach the Snohomish Steelheads, the semi-pro team, and now the Gala Pro. We have such a long name for that one. Pro Focus semi-pro team as well. So
what league
one
do
of the
they
things
play in?
Huh?
Don't want to interrupt you, but what leagues do those two teams play in?
WWPL.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Western Washington Premier League, and we don't know what's going to happen with that right now. We have Crossfire in our program. We have Issaquah, from the youth programs you might know. So yeah, I mean, Crossfire's NPL team, pretty much NPSL team, played us last year in the final, and we ended up beating them and won the league. So.
Nice.
Yeah, it was always a pleasure to beat Crossfire. I respect them a lot. I hope that I'm not gonna piss off anybody, but so I was gonna talk about, like, there's a lot of myths about being an outstanding player to be able to play college or go further than that. And I played a professional very short amount of time. I was injured, but I remember myself being very serious about going to school and training as much as I can. And I would wake up 5 a.m. before school, and I would run miles and miles, and I come back home, take a shower, and get ready for school. And unfortunately, we have a lot of guys in our part, in Everett, Snohomish area, that they feel like they just need to train once a week, and then they go out with their buddies in high school and kick the ball around, and they think they're going to make pro. And in the last 20 years I've been coaching, I haven't seen a lot of successful stories with that math. But I mean, right now we are a new club, small club, but we're up to 66 scholarships to colleges, and we have over 30 players went to semi-pro, and a couple players went to pro from our club. And from what I see, I obviously work for other clubs too, big clubs, but what I see is dedication to training. And I feel like a lot of these kids, they go and play on Sunday leagues. They go with their dads, and and they play a different style of soccer, a lot of standing soccer, and they think that more and more they play is helping them. But I've been telling them my perspective, Jay. I would love your opinion on that, but my perspective is more training and less games, and as much as you can, and also be very serious about your schoolwork and the choices you make in your life, your nutrition, to everything. So I just wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer, depending on what the, what the kid's outcome is, if it's professional, I'm a firm believer in the 10,000 hour rule. The 10,000 hour rule, if you go down and break it down from 6 years old to 21 years old, it's a significant amount of time to train on a daily basis, 4 to 6 days a week. 1 day a week nowadays is just not going to cut it. That maybe in the US may have worked, in the 80s or 90s possibly, but even then I just don't think that that's a viable option to do something that you love at a high level. So my kids, just for an example, my boys train 3 to 4 days a week, depending on what availability we have at facilities. But the bare minimum we did was 3 days a week. And it was at least an hour and a half, which I like to put it right at about an hour and a half, because that's what our games are. So going any further than that sometimes is a little bit, it takes away from the competitive nature of it a little bit. Just getting tired
If
legs.
I may add something to that, you can continue after that. I just wanted them to know that your program has been sending a good amount of players, to the colleges down here. And obviously, when Jay is talking about this, you guys need to be aware that, he's been a very successful at sending high-level players towards us. I would love to see some of them playing for my semi-pro team, actually, because the players from Spokane, every time you guys know, every time you go to Spokane, it's a tough game. Like, they are fighters. We look like we are weaker players. It feels like we're going to like another state, like playing against California teams. It's like a lot more physical, a lot faster base. So we are ready to defend. Usually when I go to Spokane, I'm like, okay, you know what? These guys are going to be tough, so you guys better be ready. So I think what Jay is touching is very important. I think, we definitely need to change our mentality if you want to go to next level, and you just don't understand the amount of training you need to get to that top level. Like, like it's someone like David Beckham, he was taking like 700-800 shots a day just to perfect his shot. I mean, imagine that. Like, he's obviously a good player. He made it to the youth program or professional programs in a young age, but he wanted more. And last week, Jay, I actually posted a video of Patrice Evra talking about Ronaldo. He goes to his house for barbecue, and he was complaining that it was just chicken and vegetables. And then the moment that they were done with that, but this was back when he was in United. And he told them that to the players that he invited, let's go like 2-touch soccer outside. And then when they were done with that, he wanted them to come swim with him. And he's like, why didn't we just, Patrice Evra said, why didn't we just stay in the training facility? Like, I thought you
and just have a snack.
Barbecue. And he just said everything Ronaldo got, he earned it. Patrice Evra was talking about it. I mean, I used to kind of make fun of him for being a prima donna and being pretty guy, but he definitely earned everything he gets. His work rate and how he takes care of himself as a athlete. And at the time, as you know, he already won the Ballon d'Or. He's already known as the best player in the world, and he's still wanting to get better. I think that's the attitude we just need to pass on, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
And you were saying about the college players, if you wanted to add something.
Yeah. So I have, so on my U18 team, just from this year, which I have a bunch of guys that have either, already played their collegiate career or still currently doing it. But just from this team, I sent 3 guys to St. Martin's on scholarships. I sent a kid to NNU. I think I have 2 going to PLU. I have 1 going to Whitworth. I want to say I have 4 that are committed to the community colleges around here. And then I have 3 kids that passed up offers to numerous schools to just pursue the education portion of things.
Okay.
But, one of my kids had several offers from 2 or 3 different Division II schools. So it's, same thing. And, you talked about our culture. Spokane is significantly different than Seattle in all sorts of ways. We do play with that hard work, violence per se, on how we do things, because we, unlike Seattle in the winter, it snows here immensely, and it's hard for us to train, and it's hard for us to find facilities. So I think we lack a little bit of the technicals, the technical things that the Seattle players are more privy to, based off of where they are. So we do have to play with that violence, and that's how it was when I grew up as well. So.
Yeah, outstanding soccer players out there. I mean, I love the hard workers over the technical players myself. I mean, I was a technical player, but as a coach, I became more into the players who works harder. So it's very interesting. Sometimes goalkeepers become like an attacking mindset coach.
Yeah.
It just
I
doesn't
was a
make
center
sense to
forward,
me.
and I was a center forward when I played, and I really appreciate a good quality defensive midfielder nowadays.
Oh yeah, I was a defensive mid, and
there you go.
I'm all about like defending as a team, even my forwards. But we have a lot of set plays. We are successful at 70-80% of my goals are usually set plays. When you're defending that much, you gotta get good at set plays for sure, as you know that. And I was gonna
become
ask you.
full chances.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I was gonna ask you your opinion on some of the defensive principles. Like I was going to kind of talk about mine. As you know, like we in WNPL before, we broke a couple records. Like my teams got scored on the whole season 3 goals to 6 goals. And we end up winning the WNPL before with that mentality. I mean, obviously, to some, it's not that much fun because I'm winning games like 1-0, 2-1. But we are winning with the way that we play. I respect every other opinion. Unfortunately, people always get mad at me, but I do like the style of the Italian mindset to, the tactical mindset of the things. And one of the things I look for from my defensive players, and unfortunately, soccer players, when you talk about defense, they're only thinking about defenders and D-mids. But when I talk about defense, I always talk about every single player. And every single player in the forward, goalie, in the bench. And it's important for me to make myself clear about they all need to be defending in their areas. One of the things I make my players' rules is make sure you always have a cover if you're going to be stepping. So you need to be always aware of where your surroundings are, where the players are, and all your teammates. And make sure also you're covering somebody when they're defending, so you don't stay flat with that mindset. And then also making sure that the furthest guy, my rule with this is when a cross is coming from the left side, I want the communication to come from the furthest guy. So in this case, if they're attacking from my right back, my left back needs to be communicating because they can see the whole line of defense and the players are running in. And those are one of my big rules. Make sure that we don't ball watch, make sure that we are aware of our surroundings, our zonal area we need to be defending. We really need to be focusing on the compact area, the center of the field, to be able to lead them more to outside. Obviously, this is a tactical thing. You might be playing a different style, but as you know, I play a 3-4-3, very defensive mindset. And then, my biggest rule for my defenders is nothing bounces around you. And then nothing goes behind you. Those are the 2 big major rules that I have. Nothing bounces. 1 bounce, and I always tell them 1 bounce is too many. Because it's good smart forward, as you know, you were a center forward and you're a smart player. When we play, I could see that too. You want that bounce because you could easily touch it and change the direction of it. Or you can put your body in between and pull a foul even, and winning the first ball is critical. And winning the first ball facing out as a defender and seeing the next pass without a senseless kicks. Obviously, we don't want that from our defenders either. We want them to see their options before they're winning that ball as well, so they can lead it to the next player that could have the next attack starting for us, right?
Yeah.
So those are kind of my small rules that I have for my defenders. Is there anything that you agree with those, or you also want to add the way that you play?
Yeah, I think those are all really valid, fair points. I you know I I've evolved as a coach, as I've, and I don't want to steer off topic, but I really nowadays, I'll take a look at my roster and see what I have. And even to a sense, if I know who are playing, I really, base my formation and, the way that we're going to defend and how we're going to defend off of those two things nowadays. So there, I have a little bit of flexibility in what I like to do. My biggest principle when defending is to stay connected. And I think that goes vertically, or horizontally, either which way. Stay connected. Make sure you talked about cover. If you're not connected, there's not cover.
Yeah.
So I play a 4-3-3. My boys, because I got them so late, I adapted to kind of what their style was. And some games when we played Issaquah, for example, we pressed high up the field, all of us together, and exposed us a little bit in the back on occasion, but that's the way we wanted to go. When we had to travel to Yakima and play CWS, a team that is just as good as us, we traveled pretty short. I want to say we only had 12 players, and we needed to tie bare minimum to win the league. We sat in. We stayed connected. Like you said, we didn't allow the ball to bounce when long balls came in. We tried to win the first and the second ball. So all those things were super important on that day when we were trying to defend. And like I said, a 0-0 would have done it. We actually ended up, defending so well that they got frustrated. And I think that, Atletico Madrid's a good example of the frustration levels that they can cause to good teams, right? And Atletico doesn't necessarily always just win 1-0. Sometimes teams get so frustrated, open up so much that Atletico is getting 2 or 3 or 4 goals on them. Yeah. I share those same principles to a certain extent. With that being said, like I said, it kind of depends on who we're playing. My 08 girls are very, very athletic, and we play on a 9v9 field. So I figured out the best way to coach them and us is we press it into the 18. We press so high, right? And again, it's such a small field, and you're playing against young girls. You go and press, they make mistakes. We barely have to move the ball to, we're usually when we win it, we're right at the goal. So I have a couple different, philosophies on that. And if you are going to press high, if it can't just be 1 or 2 defenders. The whole team has to go. You have to start cutting off the second and the third ball as well as pressing the first ball. And my biggest principle, I guess I would say yours is like, the one that's not bouncing. Mine is if there's an opportunity to have 2 go and press, if there's an opportunity to outnumber, I should say, defensively, I ask all of my players to take that chance. I think that if you can get there and you're pressing and you're working hard enough, you're going to cause problems, and it allows somebody to maybe leave their position, but to still, as they're going forward, to cut that lane off so they can't go that direction. So that's my main principle, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I love them. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I actually agree with your subject. Like with the players that I have in different teams, I play different styles too. Like one of my teams is more technical based, and I like to possess the ball. Even though I'm defensive, once we put the ball in their half, we possess it and we keep it there. And we look like an attacking team in some of the games. We look like we're attacking with 7-8 players all the time. But sometimes you have players that technically not gifted, but physically gifted. And try to play a little bit more direct style. And you have a couple guys in the team that has the technical ability. So they want to just play Barcelona. And it's hard for them to kind of adjust to that. But like once they get into that idea, this is how we're going to play because this is our strength. And I think they do a better job. Last year, have you played against Peradores from Belgium?
Yep.
They have a pretty good team. I think last year, maybe the 99 or 2000 team, they were like undefeated for a long time. And we were gonna we had their A and B team, and we played their B team the first day, and the second day we were gonna play them, and they were undefeated, and they beat us pretty easy first time, and we were in second place. And one of the things I saw that in the first game, their defenders were all like center mid type of players. They liked the ball. They loved doing moves in the back. They were really technical, and they all, you know, wanted to show off. And in that game, I found out that they were having a UW coach watching them, and also they had a video recorded. This one of those technology things. It follows the ball. So they spent a lot of money. So I was like, and they were supposed to be watching the center backs. So I came up with this idea. I'm going to be stepping really high to these guys because they know how we play. And I'm going to surprise them. So we actually played Jay with 2-5-3.
2 in the back?
2 in the back. And I stepped everybody high. And we looked like we were playing with 6 forwards. But I just knew that every ball was short for them, for every goal kick. So they wanted to come out with incredible amount of passing, and they wanted to, and they wouldn't change it. If they changed it, I was going to change my system. But we stepped up, and they were undefeated for a long time, about 20 games or something. And then we ended up beating them 4-1. And the whole game we played 2-5-3. And it's crazy, you know. And we put the pressure.
They tried to possess against us as well.
You know, so it's important. I think you can adjust as a coach, but it's important also your players will be able to willing to listen to. So
I think you made a good point before you talked about the Patadoras, and a key word was, you know, playing to your players' strengths, right? I think that's the most important thing, and getting the players to understand that you're trying to do that, and you're trying to, you know, and you're trying to make or help them be successful when you're trying to do that. And sometimes that gets lost in players when they want to do something, you know, that might be a little bit out of their realm. With that being said, you know, it's also, you know, their game, and you want them to be able to, you know, feel like they can excel in their way. So.
I agree. Like, I just feel like, also, honestly, one of the things that I face is the players really need to be able to listen to the tactical changes. And I feel like those are the ones that goes far in college and further. Like
agreed.
The ones that, you know, like I still want to play the way I want to play. Those guys seem to be seen in the 5-10 years later in the Sunday leagues more than the college and pro leagues. You know, they just need to be following the team and principles, following the expectations as a team. And I think those guys definitely go far. I hope you agree with that, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, and I know for, you know, I played obviously, you know, here around here in college, and a little bit of D2 stuff. And, you know, the majority of the game was tactics at that point. We were all pretty good technically, and we were all, you know, very, you know, gifted physically. You know, and most of the games came down to a chess match almost of who was better tactically and who had a better game plan. So, yeah, if you can't, here's the thing is, if you can't make those adjustments tactically when you go into college, your coaches just won't play you.
Exactly.
That's just what happens.
Exactly. No, I agree. Well, Jay, thank you. I will send you this video too. If you want to use it for your players too, you're welcome to use it. It's always good to see you. I hope your success continues, man. You deserve it.
You too, brother. I appreciate it.
But
it's good to hear from you, man.
Thank you, man.
Take it easy.
See ya.